What would you do when you have almost nothing, but open the door anyway? You stop asking God for a miracle anymore, just the strength to survive one more Christmas. The winter that didn't break her, the cold that stayed. Winter arrived early in Havenport, not the gentle kind that smells like pine and cinnamon, but the kind that settles into walls, bones, and memories. The kind that reminds people of what they've lost. For Mara, winter had already lasted 3 years. She lived in a small house at the edge of town, its paint peeling, its roof patched more times than she could remember. The front porch light hadn't worked since last year, but she still flipped the switch every night out of habit, or maybe hope. Mara was 34, a widow, a mother, a survivor. Her husband had died on a snowy road just days before Christmas, 3 years ago. The town remembered at first. They brought food. They whispered prayers. They promised support. But grief, like winter, is patient. It outlasts visitors. This Christmas, Mara had almost nothing left. The factory where she worked cut hours. The bills stacked up. Her son, Jonah, asked fewer questions now, not because he understood, but because he had learned not to hope too loudly. And that hurt more than hunger, a broken tradition. Every year before the accident, Mara and Jonah built a small wooden nativity scene together. It wasn't fancy, just hand-carved figures her husband had made, a child, a mother, a father, animals worn smooth by time. But this year, the box stayed unopened. Maybe next year, Mara said, forcing a smile. Jonah nodded, too quickly. At school, children talked about gifts, lights, and family dinners. Jonah stayed quiet. When asked what he wanted for Christmas, he said, "I want my mom to stop looking tired." That night, Mara cried into the sink so Jonah wouldn't hear. She wasn't asking for miracles anymore, just strength. The storm. On Christmas Eve, the storm hit. Power lines snapped. Roads closed. Snow piled higher than predicted. The town lost electricity just after sunset. Darkness swallowed Havensport. Mara wrapped Jonah in blankets and lit the last candle they owned. The house felt smaller without light, colder, louder in its silence. Then came the knock, sharp, urgent. At the door stood Mrs. Albright, their elderly neighbor, alone, shaking, terrified. Her heater had failed. Without thinking, Mara let her in. Then another knock, a young couple stranded by the storm. Then a mother with 2 children from down the road. Mara looked at her tiny house, her empty pantry, her single candle. And still she opened the door. "What little we have." They gathered in the living room, strangers, neighbors. Cold hands wrapped around chipped mugs. Someone found a radio with dying batteries. Someone else brought bread. Another shared soup they'd been saving. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Jonah lit the candle again after it flickered out. If you're gotten this far, please show some love, like, share, and subscribe. Mara watched him shield the flame with both hands, and something in her shifted. She opened the box. The nativity figures came out worn, imperfect, familiar. She placed them in the center of the room. "This," she said quietly, "is why we're still here." No one spoke, but everyone understood. Christmas without power. They sang softly, not carols, just melodies half remembered. The storm howled outside, but inside, warmth returned. Not from electricity, from presence, from shared breath, from resilience. Mrs. Albright fell asleep smiling. The children laughed for the first time all night. Jonah leaned against Mara, whispering, "This feels like Christmas." And Mara believed him. Morning light. When morning came, the storm had passed. Power crews worked quickly. Roads reopened. The town woke to stories of a small house at the edge of Havensport, where people found warmth when they thought there was none left. By noon, gifts appeared on Mara's porch. Food, firewood, notes that said, "You reminded us. Thank you for opening your door. We won't forget." Mara stood in the sunlight, Jonah at her side. The winter hadn't ended, but it hadn't broken her either. And that Christmas, resilience didn't arrive wrapped in ribbon. It arrived in the courage to open the door, even when your hands were already empty. Hope doesn't always come to save us. Sometimes it waits for us to share it first. Show some love, like, share, and subscribe. It costs nothing but helps a lot.